Look at the money in your hand. It feels like something you own, but it isn't. Every dollar is a promise, and someone, somewhere, owes it to you. That is not a metaphor. It is literally true, and it is true of every dollar ever made. Right now, the entire world is in debt. Not one country, not one company, all of it at once. More than $300 trillion. That number is not made up. The Institute of International Finance measures it every single year. Governments owe, companies owe, households owe, even the banks owe the banks. Layer upon layer of promises. Here's the strange part. There isn't $300 trillion in the world to pay it back. The debt is bigger than the money. Far bigger. How is that even possible? To understand it, ask a simpler question. Where does money actually come from? Most people picture a government printing it. That picture is mostly wrong. More than 90% of money is never printed at all. It is typed, created on a screen, by a private bank, in the moment it makes a loan. Picture it happening. You sign for a loan. The banker types a number. That number is now money you can spend. It was created for you out of nothing but a signature and a promise. In 2014, the Bank of England admitted this in plain language. They published a paper. Money creation in the modern economy. When a bank gives you a loan, it does not hand you another person's savings. It writes a new number into your account. That number did not exist 1 second earlier. The loan itself creates the money. Read that slowly. The debt comes first. The money is born out of it, and it does not stop there. The money you deposit does not just sit still. The bank lends it out again, which becomes someone else's deposit. Money multiplying, promise upon promise. So every dollar sitting in your account began as somebody's promise. A mortgage, a car loan, a government bond. The money and the debt are the same thing. One object wearing two faces. Think of the last time a friend covered your coffee. You owed them. That tiny debt was a kind of money between you. Now multiply that by 8 billion people. That is the economy. Does that make you uneasy? It probably should, because it means something strange. If every person on Earth paid off their debts tomorrow, the money would vanish with them, all of it. The system only functions because the debt is never fully repaid. For most of history, money was tied to gold. A dollar was a claim on something you could hold. Then, in 1971, President Nixon cut that cord. The dollar stopped being backed by gold. From that day, money became a pure promise, backed by nothing but trust. And it has worked ever since. No gold, no silver, just a shared agreement to keep believing. The most successful illusion in history. Because trust, it turns out, is the strongest currency there is. Now travel back much further. Thousands of years. We assume money came first and debt followed. Cash and then credit. The anthropologist David Graeber spent his life proving the reverse. In his book, Debt, The First 5,000 Years, he laid out the evidence. Debt came first, by thousands of years. Coins are recent, barely 3,000 years old. Debt is far, far older. Long before coins existed, people already owed each other. A farmer handed over grain today. A neighbor promised grain in return next season. That promise was money. The oldest human records ever found are not poems. They are not laws. They are debts. Clay tablets from ancient Mesopotamia. 5,000 years old. Little more than receipts. This person owes that person this much barley. Writing itself may have begun as bookkeeping. Not stories, not prayers, just who owed what to whom. Money did not create trust between us. Trust created money. We simply forgot the order. Here is a question worth holding. If debt is this ancient, why does it always feel like a trap? Because for most of history, it was one. When debts grew too heavy, entire societies cracked. A farmer who could not pay lost his land. Then he lost his freedom. Debt slavery was real. It was everywhere. Ancient kings watched it hollow out their own kingdoms. A kingdom of chained farmers cannot fight a war. It cannot grow food. Debt, left alone, eats the country that allows it. So they invented something radical. They erased the debts. In Mesopotamia, they called it a clean slate. A new king would wipe the ledgers to zero. Debts gone. Slaves freed. Land returned to its families. The Bible carries a version of this too. The Jubilee. Every 50 years, forgiveness written into law. They understood something we pretend not to know. A debt that can never be repaid is not a loan. It is a leash. So why do we still owe so much? Why does the global number only ever climb? Because modern money needs it to climb. Remember, the money is the debt. For an economy to grow, more money must exist. For more money to exist, more must be borrowed. Growth, in this system, is just borrowing with a nicer name. And there is a catch built into every loan: interest. The bank creates the money you borrow, but it never creates the interest. So there is always more debt than there is money to pay it. By design. The only way to find the extra? Someone somewhere must borrow again. The debt can never all be paid. It was never meant to be. Sit with that for a moment. The machine does not want the debt repaid. It wants it rolled forward, year after year, forever. Does that sound stable to you? It shouldn't. And yet, here we all still are. Governments play the same game. The United States owes more than $30 trillion. It never truly pays that back. It borrows new money to cover the old debt. And here comes the twist that bends the mind. That national debt is not only what the country owes, it is also what someone else owns. Your pension fund may hold a piece of it, your bank, a retiree on the other side of the planet. One person's debt is another person's savings, always. That is the secret hiding in daylight. Debt and wealth are two sides of one coin. You cannot have one without the other. When you save, it means someone borrowed. When you borrow, it means someone saved. The entire planet is a single, endless ledger. Everyone owes. Everyone is owed. And it never once balances to zero. For every dollar owed, a dollar is owned. For every debtor, a creditor. The books are perfectly matched and perfectly impossible to close. Doesn't that change the shape of the word? Debt sounds like failure, like a mistake. But it may be the most human thing we ever do. Think about what a debt truly is. It is a bet placed on tomorrow. A promise that the future will arrive, that you will still be here to pay, that they will still be here to collect. The word credit comes from the Latin credere. It means simply to believe. Every currency is a belief we all agree to share. The moment we stop, it turns back into paper. Every loan is a small act of faith, one stranger trusting another across time. We built the modern world on that faith. Cities, bridges, vaccines, rockets. Almost none of it was paid for up front. All of it was borrowed against a future no one could see. In 2008, we watched what happens when the faith breaks. People stopped believing the promises would be kept. Loans that were treated as safe turned out to be air, and in months, trillions of dollars simply evaporated. Not stolen, not burned, just no longer believed in. The promises were still written down. The paper had not changed, only the belief had. So here is the reframe. You were taught that money is something you have. It is not. Money is something you are standing inside of. A vast web of promises stretched across billions of people, almost none of whom will ever meet. The $300 trillion is not really a warning. It is a measurement. It is the size of how much we are willing to trust each other, to show up, to pay, to keep the promise going. That is all a currency has ever been, a record of who trusts whom. Everyone owes everyone, every promise leaning on the next. A tower of trust, billions of hands high, somehow still standing. And maybe that is not the flaw in the system. Maybe it is the only reason any of it holds together at all.